Hello, Empowered Principals. Welcome to day one of Released. It's a privilege to be here with you today. So, for those of you who are brand new to the world of the Empowered Principal, I want to welcome you. My name is Angela Kelly. I am obviously a former educator, teacher. I was an instructional coach, a reading specialist, school administrator, district administrator, turned life and leadership coach for school leaders. And I'm here with you today. So much love, so much empathy, so much compassion. And I want to start off this series with acknowledgement. I want to acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge that it took great courage to be here today. I want you to acknowledge yourself, the courage that it took for you to raise your hand and to sign up for a class on being released. There's no more vulnerability than that because it feels like such a public failure. So I just want you to take a breath and acknowledge this is a lot of pain that you're in. There's a lot of grief. There's a lot of sadness. There may be a lot of anger, rage, injustice, frustration, defeat, discouragement. It's all there. It took a lot of courage to admit that you're struggling with this. And I just want you to know that I admire you. I respect you for showing up for yourself for this. This is not an easy conversation. This is not a discussion that we wish to have to raise our hands and sign up for. So I'm validating your experience. I'm acknowledging that. And I want you to do the same for yourself. This dedication to your personal well-being is so important. It's it's so challenging to want to evolve yourself, to develop, to be the bigger person, as we say, as the phrase is, as we say, because it's not easy work. It's not what we want to do. It's not the sexy part of school leadership, but it is, and it will be the most healing, the most rewarding. Okay. So thank you for being here for yourself. This is for you. So let me just set the foundation of how this particular program will work. I have developed 5 sessions. So this will be over the course of time. And I'm not going to do them back to back to back because I want you to take each session and be with it and to sit with it. So the schedule is going to be dynamic. I've created spots in Zoom, right? I've created a schedule, but the schedule is going to be dynamic. Okay, so each session will be confirmed in advance, but it may change depending on the needs of the course, the needs of each individual here in this group today. This is why it's a webinar, it's private. And as I work with, if I hear from you or work with you individually, I am going to ebb and flow this workshop. I'm going to present each session as I feel called to present it. Okay. So it's a little bit different. I tend to be very structured, very scheduled. That's a school leader in me. This one, I feel very called to allow it to flow. Okay. So there's going to be time and space between the sessions because you're not going to just take this on day one and then tomorrow you're going to linearly, is that a word? Going to step through very linearly into day 2, day 3. It's going to be these waves and ebbs and flows because we're dealing with emotion. We're dealing with pain. We're dealing with grief, and that comes in waves. Okay. So I may invite people up for coaching and to talk with me personally for you to have the opportunity to share your unique experience, your side of the story, if you feel called to. There will be, if that coaching is offered and if it feels like something you would like to participate in, just respond in the Q&A and I'll do my best to read through the comments in real time. And if it works in the timing of the program, you'll be called up for coaching. Okay. I do want you to know that there are contemplative workbooks that I created for each of the sessions, and I will email those to you after each session. So if you've registered for this class, you're in for all 5 sessions. You will get the workbook after each session. And because it's so dynamic, I don't want to send the workbook before you've had the class. Okay. So today we're simply going to focus on being shook, being absolutely shook up. Okay. I call this an identity quake. So one day before this happened, you identified as the leader of your current school or the leader in your current district. If you're a site leader, a district leader, you had an identity. This is who I am. This is who I am professionally. This is my title. This is my position. This is my status. This is who I am. And your identity includes your professional identity, right? So who you believe yourself to be is based on who you are, what you do, who you believe yourself to be. So that includes your position. And when you are in that position, you're really attached to that identity. It just feels very true. And you can prove it in a court of law, right? Yes, I'm a school leader. Okay. Yes, I teach, I lead at this school. Yes, I'm a district official at this particular district. Okay. It feels true for you. It's more of a fact that we would call a fact in the world, right? And in an instant, and it really does happen in an instant, even if you have inklings or like somebody's prepared you in advance, the moment that you had that conversation, somebody sat you down and talked with you, somebody called you into their office, somebody sent you an email, however the message was delivered, there was the moment before the message and your identity before that message. And then there was a message, there was a moment after that message, an identity quake where what you thought to be what felt like solid ground, there's been an earthquake in your life, metaphorically, and it shocks you. It shakes. It's literally a shock. It's a shake. For any of you who've ever lived through an earthquake, one moment the ground is stable, the next minute you're shaking. I'm currently staying in the Sierra Nevadas. I'm supporting a friend right now. Actually, she was my mentor teacher, so I've known her for over 30 years. We co-taught together. She's one of the delights of my life. I love her dearly. She's now 82 years old, struggling with some medical issues, and I'm living with her and supporting her. We had I think it was a 5.7 earthquake the other day. One minute we're sitting there, the next minute the house is shaking. Earthquake, right? This happens in your life, and it's in a moment. It crumbles the very identity that you thought. And you're going to I can feel this as I'm speaking. I literally can feel tears in my throat because talking about this takes me right back to that initial shock where you're literally in physical shock. You're in mental shock. You're in emotional shock. Just psychologically, you're trying to understand what's going on. It's like when the ground is shaking, you're like, what is happening? It's the same experience. It's what is happening. It's disbelief. And in that moment, you really you grasp, you hold on, right? Just to try and stop the shaking, to try and stop the quake, to try and prevent it from happening. No, we don't want our life to crumble. We don't want our position to change. We don't want this to be happening. And there's a term in psychology and in therapy in psychology called JADE, JADE. You can write that down. JADE, it stands for JADE. J is for justify. So you will feel in the moment as your brain is like, make it stop, make this stop shaking, quaking, make it stop crumbling, make this identity quake stop from happening. I just want to stay in the same identity. You will want to jade. Justify. J is for justify, and it means like you want to justify why you should stay. So when you're having that conversation with somebody and they say to you, We're going to give you a choice. You can either resign or we'll move you into another position in the district, or we will let you go, depending on whatever choices they gave you. You're going to try and justify why you should stay in the identity and in the position you're in. The A in Jade stands for argue. You want to argue with them. You want to argue why that is not a good decision, that they have misunderstood something, they've made a mistake. You want to argue with them. No, I don't. No, this is a no for me, right? You want to argue. And D is defend yourself. When you go into fight or flight, this is what jading is. You want to justify, you want to argue, you want to defend yourself. Wait a minute. Uh, you want to like defend your position, defend a decision you made, defend why, you didn't get the test score, or, whatever it is they're telling you. You want to defend yourself. And then E is explain. They all go together. We kind of do it as a package. We try to justify, we try to argue, we try to defend ourselves, we try to explain the misunderstanding and to try and convince them of a different decision to stop the quake from happening. Now, you might have been doing this internally. If you're just sitting there, you might have been in such fight or flight that you were just more in like a shock, right? You were in a freeze. You didn't really say anything, but inside you're clamoring. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of denial. There's a lot of shutdown, right? So this, it's a normal experience, right? And I would say that it is the preferred experience because if you get let go and you're like, oh, great. I'm like, I was kind of hoping you'd let me go because hate this job. This district sucks and I'm out. If that was your reaction, then it would be odd that you were not the one initiating the release. Most of us want to be in the position we're in. And even if we don't like it, here's what's so crazy. We have this emotional experience. We don't want things to change. It feels very scary. But even if we didn't like the position, you know how like as soon as you're told no, or as soon as you're not given an option, or you don't feel like you have the power control, you're like, I want this, right? It's like little kids will do that with the toy, right? They're not playing with a toy, it's over on the side, and then another child comes to pick up the toy, and then I want that toy. Sometimes we do that with our job, but I want you to know like the emotional experience you're having, however you're feeling right now, one, acknowledge it, two, validate it. It's all normal. There's a physical reaction to pain, a psychological reaction to pain, mental reaction to pain. And the brain is trying to protect you. Its job is to keep you safe at all costs. That's why we have one. It's wired to be looking for all the dangers. That's why we have fear. It's all by design. And our brain is racing to understand. Why? What? This feels like pain. This feels like danger. This feels scary. This feels very, very bad. How do I fix this immediately? So your brain is wired to seek pleasure, avoid pain, protect you at all costs, and just make things as easy as possible. It wants you to be comfortable. It wants you to be safe. It wants you to be comfortable. And none of this feels safe or comfortable. And so it's like, oh gosh, short wiring here. What do I have to do? And that's where we go into panic. We jade in some way, shape, or form, and we're in fight or flight. So we're either fighting or we're freezing, or we want to get out of that office as soon as possible. We want to run because it just feels so uncomfortable, so unsafe. But your brain, even if you leave, no matter what aspect of fight or flight you're doing, you're in, your brain's trying to figure out a solution. It's like, why? It wants to reconcile, it wants to make things right again. We don't like the discomfort of the dissonance that's happening. Why is this happening? What can I do to fix it? What's within my power? You're going to go to work. And here, my friends, is the honest to goodness truth. There was one of two options why this happened. And I say this on the other side, but I'm sharing it with you now for you to feel, for you to contemplate. One of two things happened. One, either you actually did not meet a standard in some way, like there was a substandard performance in some way, or you did meet the standards and someone decided for other reasons to release you. So you either didn't meet a standard, right? I think about, I'm going to use the Olympics. They have been, it's just, there's something on my mind about the Olympics because it's just such high caliber performance that, and I want to support you as a high caliber school leader. Olympians, they either didn't meet the standard, like they either made the cut for the Olympics or they didn't. And they have to be able to reconcile that. And we're going to talk more about how to do that, the how and the why and the what, all of that in a minute. But you either didn't meet the standard, and that's very painful, or you did meet the standard. There wasn't a standard that you can see that, that you looked through your soul and you met the standards. But somebody outside of you, somebody outside of your control made a decision to release you. And both options hurt. Not meeting a standard when you were striving to meet all of your standards, it's very painful to admit that to ourselves. And it's also equally painful and enraging to have met the standards and then have somebody else's opinion, their title, their status, their positional authority have the means to release you. And I've coached both on both. I've coached principals, district leaders who didn't meet a standard, and they had to live with that, work with that, reconcile that, and leverage it as empowerment moving forward. And I've also coached people who did meet the standard and were let go because of somebody else's thing, and they had to reconcile that. So, whatever boat you are in right now, I want you to know it's pain is pain. This is the pain of learning that sometimes is presented to us in life. It's unavoidable. And when it happens to us, we feel like we're the only one and we're so ashamed and embarrassed, but also it happens to everyone in some way, shape, or form. Maybe they don't get released from their job, but maybe something happened to them in college or happened to them in childhood or happened to them when they were a teacher. Like this isn't the moment to compare and despair because pain is pain is pain. And the pain of learning can be very uncomfortable. It's painful to know that you mishandled something in your job. That your goal was to meet the standards. Your goal was to be, a 5-star principal. Your goal was to be an empowered principal. And perhaps, in maybe you're new. And in that newness, you made a mistake or there was something you misunderstood or you didn't understand or you didn't know how or you got overwhelmed and something, one of the balls, you're juggling, all the plates you're spinning and all the balls you're juggling, something fell. And it didn't meet your person who's making this decision, didn't meet their standard. It's very painful to accept that. This whole course, and I don't want you to try and reconcile this now, even just saying it to yourself, like maybe there was a standard I didn't meet, that's just so hard. It's very painful to accept, fully own and accept the consequences of our decisions and actions. But I'm going to show you the process. We're going to do it together here. It's very painful, but also it's so empowering. This is also the pain of maturity and growth, like growing into our emotional maturity, which no one teaches us how to do, by the way. And this course is one of the courses that will teach you this, because even in school leadership, if you look back, there were moments that weren't great. And there were times you had to rise up. and be the most emotionally mature person in the room, or take your emotions and process them at a later moment in time. You weren't able to just like explode in the meeting, or when you were at school, you maybe had to like step away or wait till you got home. And the maturity of being able to handle yourself professionally, you've had to do that over and over again. It's painful. So it's painful to have met the standards and done your best, and for them to not really have a factual standard, kind of like clear feedback for you, but to have someone just say, you're not a fit. This isn't working for us, not a match, or, however they say it. And we've done it too as leaders, right? We've said to teachers, this just isn't a match, it's not going to work. Thank you very much. When it's maybe it's they're not, you know, at a standard that we're less comfortable talking about, or they've technically met the standards, but they energetically don't feel like a fit. So it could just be that. Maybe you have met all the standards and energetically it's not a fit for the district. So to have met standards and be released feels like rejection. And it's also like the brain is just like, but why? But why? Right? It also could be, and I've had situations where I've coached school leaders on this, it's very painful to be falsely accused of not having met a standard, where someone will say, well, you didn't meet this standard or that standard. And you're like, okay, tell me more. Exactly how did I not meet the standard? And then it gets a little gray and it gets a little fuzzy. Or they've said that you've done something that you absolutely know you did not do. That's painful. So it's painful to be released because someone or people didn't like you, didn't feel you were a fit. It's painful for people to think something about you that you don't believe is true, and to be released for it. So, as I said, pain is pain in both situations, whether you're like, yep, like I can see I was new, or I messed this up or dropped the ball here. Like I own this. This is so hard for me to own this. Or, hey, no, I'm not seeing this. Like, why am I being released and you're just kind of getting shut down? In both situations, it's just painful to be rejected. It's a form of rejection. Release is a form of rejection. It's to not be wanted, to be ostracized from the community, to no longer be a part of it, and to want to be a part of it and to be shown to the door, basically. To be, and especially in school leadership, whether you're at a site, whether you're at a district level, it's a public, it's public scrutiny. You're in a public position. People know when you're being released. It's not like you just kind of scoot out the back door, like you got let go from Subway and nobody knows that you were there or not, right? Making sandwiches. This is public. It's a public position. It's community servant position. People know. So you feel publicly scrutinized, you feel publicly reprimanded. It can be very embarrassing, it can be very humiliating, it can feel very shameful. So there's all of that. But there's also this layer of guilt, whether you acknowledge and own that something happened, or even if you didn't, you still feel like there's a layer of guilt. Like because you either messed up and you feel guilty about that, or you're wondering what you could have done to prevent being released when you met the standards. Like, what else could I have done? Like, there's something I'm obviously missing. So I want you to think about this moving forward as a breakup. It's like a romantic breakup, it's like a friendship breakup. It's being released from your position. It feels very similar to a romantic breakup, or like a best friend breakup, or even like let's say you're collaborating with somebody, or you're working, on a project with the PTA co-president, and there's a falling out. Any kind of relationship breakup, this is a form of that. So think about a emotion like a past breakup you've had, a friend, romantic, whatever it is. You may have not seen it coming. One day you're friends, the next day they tell you you're not. One day you're in a marriage, the next day I want a divorce. One day you're dating your person and you're just thinking everything's great, or you're even though like you've got vibes like something's a little off, it's like, yeah, we go through waves, but we're in like I love this person. And then they break up with you. And they may be very clear and concise and communicate and have a discussion with you all the way through. Most of the time, people don't have that level of emotional maturity, that level of communication skills, that level of regulation to hold space for that discussion all the way through. Not just a one-sided discussion, like I have something to tell you, I want to break up, and here's why. Listen, just take it, but a full-on conversation. Most people don't have that skill. We don't teach it, which is why we have to learn it painfully as an adult. Being here, we're going to learn how to hold space for that and have these conversations. But oftentimes, people break up with you. They don't explain why. They're just done and they're out, or they like get mad and they blast you, and then you've been there in some way, shape, or form. So, what we're going to do in these sessions is we're going to leverage that knowledge that you learned from past breakups. Okay. I feel like breakups are one of the heights of grief and disappointment. I've lost my mom, I've lost my dad, I've lost my grandmother, I've lost friends, colleagues, families. I've had a lot of loss in my life over the last few years. And death is an incredibly painful loss. And I've gone through the loss of relationships where the person's still a human and alive walking on the planet somewhere. And there's some aspects of that that feel more painful. Knowing like that your best friend's out there, but that they're not, best friends with you, or that your person, your ex-spouse or your, ex-friend or maybe a family member who has just cut you off. It can feel like the height of grief and disappointment because when they're still there, they're like, there's a chance, there's a hope, right? And especially painful when you did not initiate the breakup. So I want you to think back to these experiences and if you don't have a past one, you can think about this one, but try to think about something. Most of us have been through a breakup of some sort in the past, some kind of relationship. How did you feel when you think back to that? How did you feel in the moment? The moment it happened was probably an identity quake, a shock to your system. Just how did you react? Grief. Did you go numb? Did you cry? Did you scream? Did you just freeze? Were you in such shock you froze? Did you like try to like fix it right away? How did you process the feelings? Did you reject? Did you start jading? Did you start clamoring to try and put it all back together to like reverse the earthquake from or the identity quake from happening? Right. And I want you also to think about how you got up each morning with that weight on your heart, on your chest. How did you get out of bed? How did you move forward? Because if you're still here right now and you've been through a breakup, you did something to get you from A to B, from where you were on that first moment, that first night, that first week, that first month. You somehow had it within you. Your internal compass somehow led you to breathe, to get up, to go through the day, to come home, to grieve, to not sleep, to oversleep. Like I know I slept a lot during my periods and waves of grief. There was a lot of sleeping, and then there was a lot of not sleeping, and then there was a lot of sleeping, and then there was a lot of not sleeping. But you did. You got up each day and you moved forward. So grieving And you may be grieving right now as you're listening to this. That's okay. It's okay to cry. Get the tissue box. This isn't a program in like taking notes and there's a test at the end. This is a program for your body, your internal organs to feel. This is a processing program. So if you're grieving, it's okay. I'm with you. I feel it. I feel the energy of this. I know what it's like. It takes me right back. It hits you like a train in the beginning. It's grief, it's loss. You cannot breathe. You feel agony. You can't regulate yourself. You're like, what is happening to me? Why can't I just, put the pieces together and move on? Why can't I just get over this? Why can't I even sleep? Why can't I eat? Or why am I eating? You know, we tend to kind of go one way or the other. Distraction, right? Why can't we stop thinking about this? We're grieving. This session one's all about the shock of it all. Just like acknowledging that we're in shock. We're in pain. I'm grieving. I'm mad. I'm frustrated. I'm sad. I'm angry. Naming it, labeling it. This is it. My body's doing what it's doing. And it's intense. And because of that intensity, you might try to control it. Stop feeling this way. Stop doing this. You want to try and control how you feel. You want to try and avoid and distract yourself. You ignore it, suppress it. I promise you, men and women, boys and girls, all of us out there, I can just tell you one thing. The feelings of this will not go away. Avoiding it, suppressing it, distracting yourself from it, buffering, trying to go around it, circumvent it, bypass it, whatever you want to call it, trying not to go through it does not relieve you of it. It just delays it. It buries it for a, temporary amount of time, or it moves it somewhere within your body. So like sometimes you feel it here, you like swallow, push it down, into kind of your tummy, into your, you know, hips. We hold a lot of energy in our bodies, a lot of that pain. So you might feel it in your joints. You might feel it in your back. You might feel it in your neck. You might get sick to your stomach. You might feel your heart start to pound. You might feel tightness in your chest. Your throat might feel tight. A lot of times my throat feels really tight. Like when you're trying to suppress a cry, when you feel like crying and you just like it physically hurts in your throat to not do it. All of that, you might be able to get those tears down temporarily, but the feeling, the emotions don't go away. It just delays them or suppresses them, and then it'll manifest as physical pain in your body. So emotional pain will manifest into physical pain. There is an emotional experience you're having, and it feels very physical. It's physically painful. It's like you could go to the doctor for it. Just fix me, right? It hurts so much. So this emotional waves of grief, it will come in and out of your awareness. There are going to be moments when you can't stop thinking about it and moments when you have a little reprieve from it. You're not thinking, you're like, wow, haven't thought about that for 10 minutes. Or like, I had an hour where I was kind of like, busy cooking dinner, or I was, like taking a walk, or I was talking to a girlfriend on the phone. So it comes in and out. You'll notice that. But when it does, it comes in like heavy. So for me, I know it felt like it greeted you the first thing in the morning. Like if you did get some rest that night when you woke up, it's like, oh, there it is, knocking on the front door. It's going to remind you as soon as you lay your head down and you want some reprieve, shows up. Put your head on the pillow. Ah, there it is. And you fall asleep and then you wake up, comes knocking to wake you. And as soon as you wake up, it's right there. It's just there, like this big, heavy, dark, ugly cloud. So here's the invitation. This is the emotional experience of grief and shock. It's not going to release until you acknowledge it, until you answer it, until you hear it out, until it has a voice, until it has a message, until you listen to its message until you actually feel it, allow it to vibrate in your body. And it's the last thing we want to do. We think, let's not feel that feeling and just go around it so I'll feel better, versus let me just feel it. Let me observe it happening in my body. Let me acknowledge it. This is shock. I'm in pain. I am sad. I am angry. I'm enraged. I am frustrated. I don't know. I can't label it. I don't even know how I feel, but this is where I feel it in my body. Feeling it in my throat. I'm feeling it in my back. I'm feeling it in the neck. Feeling it. Okay. So, all that you're going to do with this session is you are going to process the emotions. That's it. And I'm going to give you time and space to do that. We're not going to go deep in terms of content, in terms of teaching. We're going to go deep in terms of acknowledging, allowing, and processing. So there's 5 steps to processing emotion that I've created in my own work and through coaching. It is what has allowed me to get up in the morning. It's what allowed me to keep breathing, to show up for myself, to lean in, to listen, to learn. So I'm going to give you these 5. We're not going to go through all of them right now. All you're doing is kind of, you're going to go through these steps, but we're not going to go through all of them in depth. So if you can just do step 1, I want you to notice the relief that it provides you. Here's step 1. Step 1 is to identify the emotion. So often when we're in shock, or waves of emotion are coming, like, you think about it, ocean waves where they're just like, they keep coming. And then they're like, there might be a little recession, and then a big one comes, and then there's some small ones. We don't even know what we're feeling. We're all over the place. We're mad, and then we're laughing, and then we're crying, and then we're angry, and then we're infuriated, and then we're just so sad. We don't even know what we are experiencing. Okay. Step 1 is just identify the emotions. Try to put a name to them. See if you can label it. I am feeling blank. I feel pain. This is pain. I'm in pain. I feel pain. I am angry. I am so angry. This is anger. I'm enraged. I'm infuriated. Like, you can look up synonyms, right? Lists of emotion. I use Byron Katie. She does the work. Byron Katie has a list of emotions. I think on her website you can download for free. That's what I use. You can do any emotional list, but sometimes I cannot label it. I'm not sure what I'm feeling. I have to look it, and then the list gives me. So you can look up, like, I'm angry, but it's more than anger, or I'm angry, but I'm also this. Like, just look it up or make up a word. I don't even care. Label it. And when you say, I feel this, what you'll notice is when you give it a name, it starts to kind of separate you from the emotional experience you're having in your body. It's like when you go to the doctor and let's say you have a sharp pain in your tummy, and you're like, the doctor says, well, tell me what's wrong. What's going on for you? And you're like, I'm in pain. And they're like, tell me more. Where is the pain? Well, it's in my stomach. Well, what kind of pain is it? Is it dull? Is it sharp? Is it throbbing? Is it consistent? Is it just like is it always there 100% the same, or is it come and go in waves? Is it when you're on your side, or when you stand up, or when you're on your back? Is it after you eat? Like, ask yourself, like, okay, like, what is this I'm feeling? Just name it. label it if you can. What I like to do is, what am I feeling? Name, why am I feeling this way? Sometimes I can't name it. I'm not sure. Like I feel too many different emotions coming in at once and they're all crashing together. But here's why I'm feeling this way. I call this a brain drain. You literally just write out everything. It goes from up here out onto paper. I recommend handwriting it. I think there is a kinesthetic release that happens when you write, but you can definitely type it on your phone in your notes or type it on the computer if you want, if you just got to get it out faster. But this for me on a piece of paper doesn't, just take a random piece of paper, take it just a scratch paper, write it all down, or get a journal, get a notebook. I like to write out my brain drains in a notebook because I can tear out the page and I can burn it when I'm ready to release it. Or if I don't want anybody else to see it, I dispose of it, shred it, throw it in the trash, whatever, burn it in the fireplace. But a notebook allows you just to like get it all down. It can be ugly writing. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to have punctuation. Nobody's editing this. It's not going to be published, but you can write all the reasons down. That's step one. I'm going to tell you the other steps, but I really want you to focus on just being able to identify our emotions. So often we are so afraid to turn our attention to the emotion because we're afraid of how it will feel. But if you just learn, like, what am I feeling? I don't even know. Why am I feeling? What am I thinking about right now? Let me write it down. What's coming up for me? And then you might be able to identify the emotion. I'm feeling this. Or, whoa, I'm really didn't even realize I was feeling this way. But now that I'm reading this, now I can really see that I'm feeling this. Fill in the blank. Okay. That's step one. Is you've got to be able to identify it, acknowledge it. You just have to acknowledge it to even be able to process it. Okay, so step one. Step two is you're going to allow the emotion. It's going to spike in intensity once you've said, this is what I'm feeling and this is why. It's going to peak. It's going to crest like a huge wave, like a maverick. If you've ever seen the surfing competitions that are here on the West Coast in the Pacific, or you see like these big waves in Hawaii, but it will be one of these, you'll have this massive wave come in. And step two is about allowing that and letting it, like not shutting it down, not trying to stop the wave, not trying to cut it down from a level 10 to a level 1. It's just allowing it. I'll talk more about that in the upcoming sessions. Session three, step three. So one is identify the emotion. You can write these down. They're not in your booklet, so you can take notes. Number two is to allow the emotion. Just let it be present. That's the hardest part. It's like, this is painful. Why would I sit here in this pain? We're going to talk about that, how to allow an emotion. Step three is describe the emotion. I talked about this, like describing it as you would to the doctor. That again starts to separate it out. Like when you break your arm and you go to the hospital, you're in pain and your arm must hurt really, really bad, but you're not making it mean that you're going to die or that you're forever, it's just like, I'm in pain right now. I need this fixed. I'm in sharp pain. This is what happened. This is the fall that I had. This is where I think, whatever. You tell that this is sharp or it's not, whatever. You tell the doctor when you go to, this is the same thing. You're just going to talk to yourself and describe the emotion. Step four is to process the emotion. So there's allowing it, which is just even acknowledging it. But you're going to observe the emotion as it's in your body. And you're going to start to separate out like, I'm noticing my body is reacting in this way. Like you're separating the emotion from observing yourself having the emotion. And I'll tell you the moment I added this step in the process, I was sitting on an airplane. I was traveling for a professional development course that I was teaching. I think it was in Illinois at the time. So I was traveling from California to Illinois and I had two legs to my flight. So in between flights, I think I flew from San Jose to, let's say, I don't even know where I was, maybe Arizona, let's say. And then I was flying over to Illinois. Something had happened with my now ex-husband, and it dysregulated me so profoundly that I was in between flights and I took care of the situation in that, whatever hour I had between my flights. But I got on the second airplane and my body was like, I was like, when you have an adrenaline rush and your body's physically shaking, there was, I had so much adrenaline running through my system that I was physically shaking. My heart was like, it felt like it was going to come out of my chest, but I was observing myself. And I sat there on the plane and I was like, I'm having a moment of intense adrenaline rush. Like I'm watching my body. I mean, I couldn't stop shaking. My body was shaking. I felt cold, but my heart was pounding. And I was just watching myself. I'm like, wow, I'm really having a moment here. This is interesting to watch my body like do all of this. And I can't control it. It was outside of my mental control because my body took over. Fight or flight had kicked in. All of those chemicals had been released. There was nothing more I could do. But I sat there on the plane and I was like, you know, I'm safe. I'm not being chased by a lion, tiger, or bear. I'm sitting here on an airplane and I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm having this emotional experience and I'm safe. My heart is pounding and I'm safe. That's what processing it is. It's like being able to create this separation from this physical human experience that you're having, but there's something outside of you that knows. There's something outside of you that's got your back. It's you having you in your own back. That's what processing it is. You are allowing it, you're acknowledging it and allowing it, but it goes beyond that into like observing it. And that's when you can study it. And then I add that was the end. I thought that was it. And then I added a fifth step. And that's when, and I'm going to teach you all of these in detail, okay? So don't stress. But step 5 came much later. And that's when I realized like we're having this emotional experience for a reason. There has to be a reason I keep spinning on this, or perseverating on that, or feeling so angry, or feeling like, why is the emotion not going away? Why won't it release? Why will it just go? And what was happening, like it was knocking on my door. And I was aware it was knocking on my door. It's like it was at my home, knocking on my front door. And I was like, yeah, hello, I hear you, but I don't want to let you in. So I'm just waiting until you hopefully go away. But what I realize is that it might go away for a while, but it comes back and it knocks and it knocks and it knocks and it's not going to be denied. So finally one day, out of exasperation, in all honesty, I woke up and I said, okay, come on in. Emotion, I'm going to talk to you like you're a person. You must have something you need me to know. Come on in. I'm going to pour you a cup of coffee and we're going to sit and have a little chat. And that's when I learned how to talk to the emotion and to extract its wisdom. That that I remember that day, it feels like I could just transport back to that moment. That was when I knew that emotions, the purpose of emotions, why we have them as humans, it's not for us to suffer. It's to get our attention, to allow them, to acknowledge them, to validate them, and to listen to them. They have wisdom. They have information. They have a lesson. If we have the courage to listen, and if we have the bandwidth and the maturity and the empowerment to lean in and have a discussion with that emotion, it always has wisdom to offer you in some way, in some message. There's always a message. I'm going to teach you these 5 steps in these 5 days. Day 1, today, simply identify the emotion. I will send you the workbook. Process. I'm going to give you days to do this. because it's going to come in waves. See if you can create some initial relief just by naming it. What am I feeling and why am I feeling this way? The workbook has some prompts. These are not long workbooks. They're just some prompts, a couple pages each, two to 4 pages, I think they are, maybe 5 at the most, but there's only a couple of things on a page. Don't need to be afraid of the workbook. And if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. You can just take this, absorb it in, and let it be. But we're going to break this process down so that you can understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. You can allow what's coming up for you. You can express the truth of what you think and what you believe happened. Ownership and ownership, basically. Either you met the standard or you didn't. Either you met the standard and something outside of you made a decision, or you didn't meet the standard, and we've got to own that. We're going to go into both of those pain points, but either way, you come out more empowered on the other side. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your courage. I am sending you so much love, so much support, so much empathy, compassion, so much grace. This is also not about criticizing yourself, beating yourself up, judging yourself, scolding yourself. We're not doing any of that. This is about just leaning in and actually being very empathetic and encouraging with yourself. We'll get you to the other side, I promise. Have a beautiful Sunday. Allow yourself to grieve or whatever feelings are coming up for you. Just identify it. And there may be multiple. That's okay. Identify them, allow them, and in the next session, we're going to go deeper in to how to approach these and not be so afraid to feel. All right, my friend. May you be well. Know that you're safe and that you'll be okay. We'll get through this. Much love to you. Have a beautiful night. Talk soon. Take care. Bye.